Torte, what we want to do is, using a boiler, we want to actually melt the chocolate and the butter together. So that's 200 grams of chocolate and 200 grams of butter. And you can do that in a broiler, or if you don't have a broiler, in this case I've just simply used 2 saucepans, ensuring that none of the water gets into the saucepan. I'll show you underneath. And what that actually does, it's the steam underneath that actually melts the chocolate, and you can see it's melting quite quickly. So why we do it like this is simply because, I don't know if you've ever tried just melting chocolate on its own, but when you heat chocolate and you don't do it in a broiler or in a technique like this, it actually turns the chocolate into more of like a sandy, grainy, dry mixture. So that's what we're trying to avoid here. So like I said, 200 grams of butter unsalted, 200 grams of cooking chocolate. I use 70% chocolate because I like my chocolate bitter. So yeah, we're just going to melt that well together and set that aside, and I'll show you the next steps. Base of the cake, what we're going to do is take 4 free-range eggs, which is separate, so we'll use the egg whites later in the stage. So we're going to take the 4 of the egg yolks, and then we're just going to mix that in by hand. We're going to whisk it until thick and pale as so. So the recipe calls for a cup of sugar, so we're just going to use half a cup in this stage. Mix that really well together. Okay, and once we've done that, we're going to grab our beautiful chocolate and butter mixture. Just going to make sure that's really mixed in there. You see it's beautiful, thick and creamy consistency. Okay, and there's our beautiful melted chocolate and butter. So saving the spoon for licking. Okay, and then we're just gonna whisk this in together beautifully. So slowly. Coming into a nice creamy consistency. Whoa. How's that for decadence? If only you guys could smell this. So beautiful. I'll scrape out the remainder. Okay, that can go alongside my spoon for licking. Okay, and once that's mixed well together, we are going to take 1 cup of almond meal, sprinkle that across, whisk that together, do it slowly so it's nice consistency. This is going to form the basis of our torte. And I'm adding, so you can use almond meal, but I'm actually adding the almond meal that I roasted after making my almond nut milk, just so I can add a bit more of a crunch to the cake and a roasted flavour. And then we're going to take 1/4 of teaspoon of salt. Mix that in quite nicely so it's not clumped, because the last thing you want to do is take a bite of cake and have a big chunk of salt. And also our hero ingredient, Mr. Brandy here. So just a tablespoon and a half, so I'm just going to tip that in. Oh, the smell is amazing. Beautiful. Okay, So just mix that well together. How's that for decadence? And then we'll go into the next phase. And so from here we're going to take those egg whites and we're going to whisk those to form beautiful shiny white peaks. Okay, so with this part, we're going to take a beautiful egg mixture here that we've folded in. It's light and fluffy, and we're going to do it in 2 parts. So we're just going to fold this in using a spatula. Let's pop that on top, do it in 2 parts, and just gently fold that in. Look at that colour. So we don't want to do this vigorously. What we're doing is folding it in because we don't want the mixture of egg whites. We want them to remain light and fluffy because it's going to form the basis of the cake. So we just want it aerated, and you can see it'll stay that way. It's just thriving with the air between each of the ingredients. So, and if you could hear that, you can actually hear the bubbles. So, okay, with that, I'm just going to add the remainder of the mixture. So this is a gentle process. If you've ever worked with soufflés, and it's always about being careful with the peaks, and you don't want to lose that aeratedness of your cakes. So what gives the body, or else our cake is just going to end out just flat and lifeless, and we don't want that. Now in the background, I've had the oven preheated for about 20 minutes, and we're going to cook this baby at 180 degrees. So just going to transport this into our buttered and prepared springback cake tin. And as you would have seen, I did line the bottom with aluminium because this stuff will leak through, so just be very careful with that, so you don't want to end up with a hot mess in your oven. Okay, to our tin. All the ingredients have been lightly folded. Just going to pour that all in. So what we're going to do is cook this on 180 for 30 to 35 minutes, I reckon. You can use the toothpick test to see if it's cooked in the middle. And then from there, we're going to let it cool on a wire rack. And then we're going to pop it in the fridge, so at least for about 4 hours, just so all the ingredients can set together before eating it. And I definitely did have a taste test, and I can assure you this tastes extraordinary. Okay, so take that, I'm going to tap. And then into the oven it goes for 30 to 35 minutes. And I'll just say with the toothpick, the sides will actually, you'll know when it's ready because the sides will actually be firm, but the middle will still be a bit wiggly, just kind of like a cheesecake. So I'm just going to pop this in the oven now. I'm just going to have a sticky beak and see how our beautiful torte is going, because you don't want to overcook it. Look at that. Oh my Lord, that is amazing. The smell. So you can see on the sides there, it looks like it's pulling away. I'm just going to take a skewer or a toothpick and just check. So we are still a little undercooked. So I'm just going to pop that back in for another 10 minutes. Have it. She's beautifully cooked. You can see it's come away from the sides. Has that beautiful crunchy top, which I'm going to break once it's cooled. Because I'd like to have that real rustic look. And yeah, so this will cool once, probably about 20 minutes, I'll take the tin away. I'll let it cool on the rack. And once that's cool, I will pop that in the fridge for 4 hours before we can dig in. So, and then I'll show you, I'm going to serve this with mascarpone and maple syrup on top. Yeah, and I'll be able to share the recipe soon. Okay guys, see ya.